use Google technologies or whatever technology suits you, but really just get the hacking culture, right? Code. There's a ton of documentation out there, and ideally help each other out. Because, as I said, these are volunteers, right? Maybe we'll not be able to do this very regularly. So today you have a chance to maybe ask questions live, see how Google software engineers actually code. But you can do this yourself. Help each other out. You have the GTugs, but you can do this in other groups as well. You can set up a new GTug in Alexandria or in other places in Jordan if it's relevant. And maybe Rami and Amadi can help you guide you through the process. But I won't speak more than this. And I hope you have fun, and I'll let Xavier take the mic now.
Hi everybody. So I'm going today to share with you some of the technologies that we use at Google. So first, let me talk a little bit about the context. Our goal is to create innovation, technological innovation. What I'm going to talk about today with Stein is not innovation per se. I assume that many of you have amazing ideas of what they could do. I'm sure you have ideas of what would be the next big software in your community or in your country. What I want to talk about today is why is it difficult to do innovation? The first reason why it is difficult is that today the expectations are very high. If you make an application, it can't be just a simple application. It has to be nice, and it has to do a bunch of things. Your application should deal with very rich media content. You should show maps, you should show videos. You must also handle user-generated content, so the users can vote, they can post comments, all that kind of things. And your application should work on many platforms, Windows, Linux, Apple, Google OS. It should work with any browser. It should work on phones, on computers, on laptops. So there is a very high technological cost when you want to do innovation. Your application must scale, because if your application is very innovative, you will have millions of users, and I hope so. But your application must be very secure, because if you want to have millions of users, they must trust your application. And at Google, we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy making sure every information you enter in Google is safe. Also, your application should interoperate with other things. You must broadcast information as an RSS feed, and you must integrate with all the major websites such as Facebook or Twitter. So this is the context. We want innovation, but expectations are high and the technology is hard. So the question is it possible to do like these two guys? Does anybody recognize these two guys? This is Steve Jobs and Bob Schneider creating Apple back in the days. So the question is it possible to do like these two guys, to start something very successful in your garage? At first, it looks it's impossible, because if you want to make a software, now you need very big servers, you need tons of engineers, and it's going to take you a year before you get your first things running. So here's the question. Is it still possible to run a garage company? At Google, we say yes, and we want to provide you, in MENA, Middle East and North Africa, with the technology that helps you quickly prototype innovative ideas of yours. All it takes to do something cool is a good text editor, because we are developers, and a web browser, because we can do anything in a web browser nowadays. We can be in the cloud. So what we're going to do today with Stein is we're going to show you a prototype application that we call Meet My Friends. It's an application that allows you to track the position of your friends on a map, so you can know where your friends are in real time. If you think of it, it's a little bit like Google Latitude, you know, the service offered by Google where you can track all your friends automatically based on their cell phones. But what is important to understand is that Google Latitude actually started with a prototype very similar to the one we're going to do today. And it's about the same kind of technology that we're using. And I really want you to keep this message today, that if you have a very cool idea, at the end of the session you can go back to your place, you can even go in an internet cafe, and you can start coding your application. So the outline of the talk today will be like this. We'll do 2 sessions of about 45 minutes. And the first one, Stein will talk about the Map API and Web API in general. And the second one, I'll talk about how you can make a web application using Google Ad Engine. Then we'll take a break, so you can get a coffee or smoke a cigarette. During that break, it will be possible for you to ask questions to Stein and myself. So if you have a laptop, what you need to do is you need to go to some URL, I'll show you, and we'll be using a Google technology to do live questions. It's called Door, so I'll talk about that before the break. And we'll be using Google Moderator, so you have 2 options. If you have a laptop, we'll give you the link, and if you don't have a laptop, there are 2 guys in Cairo and in Amman. Their name is Amr and Ahmed. Sorry for the pronunciation of your name, guys. And please, if you have questions and you can't get your hand on a laptop, during the break, talk to them and they will pose the questions for you. After the break, we'll have a second session where we'll put together the Map API and the Google Ad Engine, so we have a very cool application. And then I'll talk a little bit about other things that Google can offer you to prototype your innovative ideas. So one thing that is very important, we don't see you, and I wish I'd be there in Cairo and Amman. We don't see you, so we'll make an assumption, you are developers, you are engineers like me and like Stein. What we're going to do today is a coding session. So you'll see a text editor and a web browser, and you'll see me and Stein doing live coding. And we'll go into details so that you understand how the technology works. The good news is that the technology is actually pretty simple, so instead of having to deal with all the small details, the instructions will be more like this. Simple technology that you can plug together and it's going to work and have something nice. There's a few things I'd like to say. You can ask as many questions as you want on the technology, but if you ask any other questions related to Google, I won't answer. I mean, we are engineers, we have people specialized for answering questions about Google. I am able to answer technological questions. Any other question, please talk to Google Press or any official contact at Google. The second important thing is that you will be seeing a lot of code today. Don't try to copy it. Don't take notes. It is not important. What is important is that you understand what is behind the code. The code will be made available so you can download it. And the idea is that the code you're going to see today is a very good skeleton for starting your own application. And what we want you today is we want you to be able to download this code and dive into it, understanding what the different pieces do, right? So without further notice, let's start. And I'm going to hand the mic to Stein. So just for the record, Stein is the guy here with the glasses. I am Xavier speaking in the middle, and Leslie is that lovely person who helped us setting up the meeting. And we'll be working with a text editor that Stein will use to type text, and we'll have a web browser where we'll show the results. And I'm going to have tabs between the 2 applications so that you can see what we type and the result of our typing. So Stein, the mic is yours.
Okay, hi, I'm Sven Eller. I will show you how quickly you can prototype a technology you want to try out. It's really not much. These technologies are, most of it, are lots and lots of code in APIs or libraries, which you can download and find out there. The main point is, don't reinvent the wheel. It has been done many times before, and you can go out and search and find lots of libraries to do anything from adding small stuff on your web page to putting maps on your page, data collection, whatever. Yeah. So, a little bit of pause. Okay. Yeah. So, this is basically the application I want to show. It can do quite a lot of stuff, and it's not much code. Entire thing that I've written here is less than 150 lines of HTML, JavaScript, and styles. Yeah, we can just load the map.
Okay.
So, and what this can do here, you can move around on the map. You have all the functionalities, so you can move the map itself. You can zoom in and out. Zoom out enough. Yeah. And when you're here, zoom out. You can add marks to various places. You can add pause to see. And in the end, I will show you how to add stuff just by clicking on the map itself.
Wow, that looks like a very big application. How many lines of code do you say there's?
Less than 150 lines in total. And that's everything I'm going to show you today.
Oh, all right. We have some feedback saying that it takes some time to refresh the map. So we're going to go slower so that you can see what's happening. So we'll make the application available online so you can give it a try at the end of the class. If you have any problem, because we don't see you and we really apologize for that, if you have any problem, talk to Amer or Ahmed and let them know, and they're chatting with us, and this way we can adapt so that you can really get the best out of this presentation. So do you see the map right now? Okay, I'll take that for a yes. So let's continue.
كم حدا بيشتغل ماب API؟ Okay, but that is the
HTML markup language can be quite simple. The only thing you need is a small framework and startup. There's a couple of simple rules you can follow just to make sure you keep this good when you develop. First, be consistent. Don't mix upper and lower cases. Write class name the same ways, etc. And work incrementally. Create one thing at a time. Look at the page you created. Play with the codes, and most important of all, have fun while you do it.
All right, so let's go. And can you drive us through the different steps of creating this application?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go.
So, first of all, we need to add a little bit of styling and structure. What you need is, as you saw in the first example, you have the menu on the left side, and you had a map which you could play with. You notice that I put an ID on the map. That would be needed later. And we have added a CSS file, which is a style sheet. The style sheet just tells how the page is supposed to look. Now, the style sheet is not complicated. It basically says, fill the whole screen, put the menu on the left side, put the map on the right side, and that's it. I've added a little bit of, I added color to the menu, so it's easier to see in the example. And this is what it does.
So that's the first step. We're able to have a structure. We're going to have a menu on the left and a map on the right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the next step?
The next step is a little bit more complicated, but it is required